Blessings. I think we could just ride together. I gotta ride. Unfortunate things happen. Just wanted to say hi on this Sunday. Working on getting myself back in the algorithm. You know how I do. I'm praying to build up a diverse audience. So I said, why don't we just ride and talk? Ride and talk. What is that young boy's name? You know what? It's so weird. Make sure we got our service. I'm just sitting here chatting. I mean, I ain't even chatting yet. I'm just sitting here. Y'all riding with me. I got some things I want to talk about. Passover is coming. I'm going to talk about the corny stuff first. I think I want to talk about the corny stuff because this is going to be my third year, y'all, celebrating Passover, and I'm excited because I'm learning every year more and more. Holy forehead. Holy Spirit. I'm learning more and more about Passover, and I'm learning more and more how, as I mentioned, this European system has totally obscured history. Like, you know, I used to go deep into conspiracy theories, and a lot of those conspiracy theories literally came true. And they proved to be true now. But as I got into the Bible, a lot of the conspiracy theories about the holidays was revealed to me. So this is my third year. I'm going to be celebrating Passover. If y'all don't know, shout out to Levi family. Passover is going to start the 15th, and then it goes to the 20th. So what I've learned about Passover, it's, you know, they say Easter is the day that Jesus was risen from the grave and things like that. I guess I would just talk to y'all about it. You know, that's a lie. That is a lie. And I've been, you know, educating my family, educating my kids all the time. But the reason why Passover is from the 15th to the 20th, to my understanding, is because that was the time where things happened to Jesus, where things started, where, you know, where he went just before he got crucified was before, like 2 days before the Sabbath. So if you listen to the story of Jesus' crucifixion, he was crucified maybe on a Thursday or Friday, and I'm thinking on a Friday because what happened when Mary came back to the tomb, she didn't come back the next day after the crucifixion because it was a Sabbath, and they had to practice Sabbath. So she went back on a Sunday to the tomb to get the body cleaned and Jesus' body cleaned, and it was not there. So they said that was supposed to be the day that he was risen. But at this point, I think the most important thing is for us to follow the Bible, where the Bible tells us what we should do. It's weird to me because it's not weird because I understand it and I don't judge it, but my Christians, you guys believe in the Bible, but y'all don't read the Bible. So it's really alarming to me. Now, this is the time we got to fix souls, like for real, for real. You don't see what times we're in, you're not going to see. It's not the channel for you. It's the time we got to really fix souls. As Christians, because I grew up in like a Christian household, as my mother practiced the way you guys practice, as my family practiced, where we go, don't go, get the Holy Spirit Sunday, don't go to, you know, act like heathens the rest of the week, you know, that type of stuff. I honestly have learned a new way of living by reading the Bible and realizing that what they taught us is not only allegedly pagan, but it's really based on idolism and just like tokenism, not really based in the holy teachings. You see what I'm saying? I'm grateful because during this Passover, now I understand even more what am I supposed to do. So originally the Passover, if y'all don't know, it wasn't first established around the crucifixion of Jesus. I really need you guys to realize this and go look it up. As time went on, the Passover represented two things to Hebrews and Jewish people. Well, not Jewish. The Jewish people don't actually worship Jesus. They don't. The Jewish, that's there. They don't really. They know Jesus as the man, but they don't honor him as the Father, the Messiah. But the Hebrews, the true Hebrews, we know that Jesus is our Messiah. But before that happened, the original Passover was supposed to represent the exodus of Egypt and our forefathers being released from Egypt. That story has been proven to be real. Even on the Egyptian walls, on the hieroglyphics. There's a video I have in my archive where they show a rock of the king, and I don't know if it was King Tut or King is the king. I'm trying to remember, but he had a rock that he engraved the day that he made the edict to basically go against the Hebrews that was in the land of Goshen. And it said on this day, the Hebrews would be no more. They would be wiped out. And that's like literally a hieroglyphic on a rock that they found in Egypt. So it had proved that was like one of the few things that they found in Egypt that highlighted the name of the actual slaves that were there. And that was the Hebrews. There was a specific, I'm going to say the word right, group of people who were enslaved. Okay? You guys really have to realize this. So, y'all know the story. I hope y'all do know the story of Egypt and Moses. And it's a little bit I can talk about it. Basic thing is that Joseph was sold by his brothers, the Hebrews. Okay, his brothers was jealous of Joseph. They sold Joseph and told his father Isaac that Joseph died. Joseph, or he was, like a bear attacked him and things like that. But they end up selling him, and he ended up in Egypt. And then when he got in Egypt, Joseph, we be blessed, he's a Hebrew. Joseph ended up being very fair, and he ended up working for the king and being in the king's palace. So this is when he first got there, and this is how Joseph ended up in jail. The king's wife had a really, really bad crush on Joseph. Yeah. And what ended up happening is, this is in the book of Joshua. If y'all ever go look into the book of Joshua, and you'll see this story, because it talks about what the Hebrews go through. Basically, the king's wife was so infatuated with Joseph that the story is wild. Like, if you really read it, it's wild as all hell. Like, she used to try to set him up to sleep with him. She used to wait at the door when he used to come to work for the king, and he was so loyal to his king that he would not. He'll try to run away from her, get away from her, and just really stay away. And one day, this is how wild it is, and this is us. This is us. I'm telling you, we are very, 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 like, how can I say, they're desirable people. We are, okay? So what ended up happening, I'm going to tell y'all the story so I can understand Passover. We could just talk about it or whatever. because I'm going to be gone for a couple of days, because I'm actually going to celebrate Passover, and I am going to refrain from the internet. Got to do it. So basically what ended up happening, if y'all know this story, y'all need to know. That's why you should read the Bible and do some research, because it's really exciting. I was like, whoa, this story is wild. So she kept coming on to Joseph, kept coming on to him, and he's like, listen, I don't want to have no parts to that. So one day she invited all her friends over. Hey, H-Spy, how are you? Thank you for being here. You just having a, little taste of Grace Levi. So she invited all her lady friends over, and she told him to come in. And when he came in, I think, she made them all hold, a knife in their hand or something. This story is wild. Go read it, because there's a lot of missing books of the Bible. You can even listen to these audiobooks. And when he came in, they were so mesmerized by Joseph, because he was so handsome, that they literally squeezed their hand, and all their hands started bleeding. So the wife of the king was like, listen, do y'all see what I got to deal with every day? I desire him, and he won't be with me. I did everything I could do with him until this point where she told him, listen, look what I got to deal with. It didn't even make y'all bleed at your head. I was like, this is wild. So what she ended up doing was set it up that she made the king think that Joseph tried to R her. And what ended up happening was that she came on to Joseph. Joseph tried to run away from her because he didn't want to have nothing to do with her. And she grabbed his clothes and ripped his clothes. She ended up using that piece of clothes to tell the king, oh, he tried to R me, this, that, and the third. And they had a trial. And Joseph, I didn't do it. I honor you. You gave me this spot in your home. I'm from another, basically, he could have been a slave. He was just a slave for that king. And what they ended up finding out in the trial was that the king's wife was lying. Okay? This is how hypocrisy works. The king's wife was lying, and they still locked Joseph up. They still locked him up for an amount of number of years because the wife wanted him. And they came to find out that the wife was a liar. So that was how Joseph got in jail in Egypt. Okay, that was before he became Pharaoh. Okay, so I'm telling y'all, Levi family, this so y'all can know y'all lineage, so y'all can really understand how you fit into the Bible, because black people don't see yourself in the Bible. So maybe I can just tell y'all Bible stories, and y'all can really see y'all identity in it, because they won't tell you these. Your pastor's not telling you the full story. So Joseph's in jail. Things going on. The lady keep coming to jail to see Joseph, trying to entice him and everything. And the guards see it and everything. Joseph's like, just stay away from me, stay away from me. So then, all right, boom. The king had a dream. So the king had a dream, and he sent his magicians, or his highly paid scribe, to interpret the dream, but he couldn't interpret the dream. But this was the trick. This king was such a tyrant. He said, listen, I can't remember the dream. I need you to remember the dream and tell me what it means. So they like, that's impossible. There's no way. You can't, there's no way we could do this. It's if you don't do this, I'm basically going to kill all of you guys, because all of y'all worthless. So they went on a hunt around for prophecies, people who could prophesy. And they remember a story about Joseph, because Joseph had prophesied, I guess, a dream while he was in jail for somebody. Okay, he did it already. So they okay, we need you to prophesy this, that, and the third. Joseph came out and literally prophesied the dream for the king of Egypt and told him, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have 7 years of basically abundance. That was the corn and everything. You're going to have a lot, coming in. But then you're going to have 7 years of famine. And basically you need to get prepared. This is what the story is telling you. Your kingdom will be destroyed if you don't prepare. So the king was like, well, if you the one that had the interpretation, then you be the Pharaoh. Won't you help us get prepared? This is Joseph, who was the slave, the Hebrew that was sold into Egypt by his brothers. This is how God bless you. Now, it's a spiritual story, and, you can look at it on a 3D level from this, how families are, jealousy, loyalty. But the blessing of God, even if he take you out and throw you into, basically the wilderness, he will bless you. So what ended up happening is at this point, hold on one second. Y'all know what I do. All right, so then at this point, Joseph is named the Pharaoh. Now this is how dope it is. Go look at the book of Jasher. Go look this book up. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of this video. This is how dope it is. The people of the land got mad and was like, how Joseph is gonna be the Pharaoh when he can't even speak our language? Like, he a Hebrew, he speaks that. God gave him the ability. Joseph went back and prayed like, yo, you got me in this situation, God. I don't know what to do. You got to help me out. This is literally the conversations you hear our ancestors have with God, the God of the Yahweh, our God, God of the Hebrews. And the next morning he woke up and he went to see the king, and it was like, basically, they was like stairs that they were supposed to go up, and each time that he completed a language, he could move up in the stairs towards to get to the king, and he completed every single language. Joseph completed every single language, and they made him Pharaoh. So Joseph came up with, and this is how we are basically the pioneers of commerce, preservation, and just getting prepared for disasters. Our forefathers did this. Okay, so what Joseph did was basically teach the king how to preserve the wheat and everything like that, and kind of taught the people as well, but somehow the people didn't do it correctly. So probably like a year or two into the famine and with the drought, the people were such in a bad situation that they needed the king. And this is how taxation got started, literally from us. Okay, and it is against the Torah for us to tax our brothers and sisters allegedly. Okay, because I didn't read the whole Torah, but that's what it's supposed to be. But this is how taxation actually started, and how can I say, it's called subrogation, where basically you live somewhere but you don't own it. The same thing like a mortgage. So the people needed food and things, and they went to the king like, hey, we in a bad situation, all our stuff went rotten, da-da-da. But Joseph set it up in a way that not only did he got a lot of food for the king, but he found a way to preserve it. So agriculturally wise as well. This is our forefathers in the Bible. This is why you should read the Bible. It'll really make you get an understanding of who you are, the strength that we carry. So boom, Joseph did it, all the people coming. Now they're basically like, okay, you can have ties to our land. We just need you to give us a monthly stipend. Like whatever we do, whatever we grow, we'll pay you back on there. And this is how subrogation really started. Joseph made that king very, very, very rich. So at that time, while Joseph was the Pharaoh, this is how his brothers came down in from Canaan. Okay? I love the Bible stories because I really, really understand them. I'm so grateful. So, boom. His brothers was coming out from Canaan. It's the same place where his brothers sold him. Now, you got Isaac up there with all his kids. And now, the Hebrews blessed by God in finance, and they had money, but the land was famished up there as well. So they had to make their way down to Egypt to get bread, to get stuff, because their land was famished. Now, the brothers did not know that Joseph was sold into Egypt. So when they went down to Egypt, the father Isaac said, listen, I don't want to lose no more of my kids. So I need y'all to go down there separately, like go into the town separately, so they don't know y'all together, so they don't think that y'all coming to wage war or anything. Because there been some stuff that we done got, our forefathers had got Isaac in trouble. And that's a story about Levi too. Levi and Simeon did some bad stuff, okay, guys? We'll talk about that if we got time. I think I got an hour or so. We riding. This is for the people who want to hear Bible stories from grace, okay? I get excited about Bible stories. I like it. So, boom. Now, the brothers coming down to Egypt because they need to buy food. Now, they go in. Now, mind you, Joseph got it on lock. Joseph sees everything. Joseph peeped that his brothers came in, that these people came in. He identified them from the wrist. So what ended up happening is like the second day they were in the town into Egypt, Joseph got them all sent up to his palace. and they did not know it was Joseph. All his brothers did not know his Joseph. Benjamin is Joseph's brother. Benjamin and Joseph are brothers. Those were the two that was born from Rebekah. And then the other ones was born from, I think, Leah, which was the wife that Isaac really didn't want to marry. He was tricked into marrying him. That's a whole nother story, marrying her, because that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that. But he had to marry her, didn't get Rebekah. Rebekah was having problems having a baby. So Leah was having all of the kids, and then Rebekah had some of her servants having kids. This is how the tribe of Israel came about, the Hebrews. Boom. And that was the brothers who was jealous of the youngest Joseph, who was Rebekah's child that took so many years to make, okay? So it was a special love for him. So the father was like, y'all go down there. I don't want to lose no more kids. You better protect Benjamin. That's basically Joseph's brother. So boom, Joseph called them all into the palace. It was like, you guys are spies. You coming in here to, basically set us up. And still, now Joseph knows that's his brothers, but they don't know that the Pharaoh is Joseph, because Joseph is looking like an Egyptian. Egyptian is black. So that's why you know that this is black, because there's no way if these people, the Hebrews was white, I'm just being honest, would they be able to mix in Egypt and not being able to be seen? That's why the brothers did not know that was Joseph after all those years. So I just got to add the truth in there. So now Joseph like, all right, boom. If you ain't spies, you leave your brother Benjamin here, which Joseph knew that was his real blood brother by mother and father, and you go back and to your father, and then you could come back in a couple of whatever. I forgot what was the actual deal. But they like, no, we can't do that. We can't leave our brother here. Our father will have a heart attack. He will literally just die, because they end up telling him, like, they kind of told him, but they didn't. They were just saying, like, we can't afford to lose him. We can't afford to lose him. We got to bring him back. So he like, get out of here, go, and then if you're not a spy, come back in this amount of time. Your brother be here, this, that, and the third. So the brothers went back. So Isaac, like, came back without Benjamin. Isaac, like, oh my God, you lost your brother, like, again, what is going on? Y'all trying to kill me, da-da-da. Isaac go deeper into the depression. Mind you, he's been depressed because Joseph was gone all this time. That was his favorite, okay? So now he's livid. So he's like, all right, we just got to deal with whatever we have. We're going to make way. Don't never go back down to Egypt. So now they use up all the food. They use up everything, and it's time to go back down to Egypt again. And he like and Judah, and I think it was Judah doing a lot of the talking. But Judah was doing a lot of the talking to Dad, like, hey, we got to go down there. We got to get food. Our family's going to die. We could get our brother back. Let's just go. He's like, no, y'all can't go. Basically, you're going to cause more trouble. I don't want to lose no more sons. I'm going to die, da-da-da-da. They convinced Isaac to let them go, because they promised that they were going to come back in one piece, and they were going to come back with the brother. They went down there again. They entered through the separate gate, and Joseph saw them. Now, mind you, it's months that went by. Benjamin is supposed to be in jail down there in Egypt with Joseph, his brother. When they gathered all the brothers up and brought them into Joseph's palace again, he like, what are you doing here? This, that, and the third. He's like, well, we come because we need more food, and we want our brother back or whatever. And at that time, I'm trying to remember, because they sent them all. Joseph was really fucking with them. Joseph like, all right, you could go. I need you to take all of this to your father, all of this to your land, but Benjamin is going to stay with us. Now, Judah is like, no, this is enough. Like, what is your fucking problem? Judah is the black Americans. This is you. This is you. Judah is like, what is your problem? Like, it's enough. I'm tired of this. I will kill all y'all in here. I'm not being humble. I'm leaving with my fucking brother. This is Judah getting mad. He's growling. Like, Judah has this power of voice This is in the story where Judah will growl and yell, and the whole damn, like, people would just die. Or the ground would just shake and everybody will run. Like, this was one of Judah's powers, the power of his voice. Black America. That's why y'all singing and y'all voice is so strong and y'all could lead a crowd. So, just letting y'all know, see yourself in these stories. So he like, Joseph, like, he told his son Malachi, go get him. Joseph told his son Malachi, go get Judah. So Judah and Malachi is warring, like they fighting a little bit right there. But then Judah stopped, and Judah like, wait, this not right, because this person who I'm fighting is of our bloodline, because it's certain techniques, it's certain ways of moving, it's certain skills that they have, and Judah knew this make no sense. How have I not destroyed him? Because Judah was like, yo, this Malachi is kind of like getting at me. So he like, all right, get out of here, go take all this stuff to your father, come back, and then you can have your brother. So Judah mad, he like, fuck it, I'm gonna go. They got a whole bunch of stuff though. It's just not making sense, because Joseph is sending them back with a bunch of stuff for the father. As they get on the road, Joseph did this. Joseph was aggy. Joseph did this because he was mad because his brother sold him. Joseph planted a cup into one of, oh, yes, that's how he got Benjamin the first time. I think I did miss the part. When they was leaving the first time, this is how they got Benjamin. He planted a cup on Benjamin and said Benjamin tried to steal, and that's how he kept Benjamin. So I do apologize. That was the missing part, how he ended up telling, like, Benjamin got to stay as prisoner because he set them up. He put a cup on to their thing. So, boom. He went the second time, he went back up there. Before they went up there, this is what happened. This is what happened. The second time, before the boys were about to go back home without Benjamin, that's when, okay, now I'm remembering. When Malachi and Benjamin and Judah fought, now this is what I'm remembering. Malachi and Judah fought. Judah was like, you gotta be of a Hebrew bloodline because of what he did. And it got so heated that Joseph got mad, turned around. This is the story. Joseph turned around and bust out and started crying. That's what it was. And when Joseph turned around, all of them looked at him in shock. And he told them, like, you're my brother. Like, I'm Joseph. And they all broke down and started weeping. That was the story. After Malachi and Judah fought, and Judah stopped, because Judah was like, yo, I ain't never have a hard time knocking the Egyptian down. Like, I could kill all y'all in one blow, but I'm not doing it because of my father's word, and you got my brother. This is Judah. This is the sins of Black America. This is your forefathers. So at that point, they realized that that was Joseph, and that Benjamin was cool. Benjamin was literally sitting right at Joseph's table and everything. They've been figured that out. Joseph and Benjamin already. So the boys went up back to Canaan with cows, gold, like just everything, silk. Joseph sent them with the works. I mean, with the works to present to their father. Now, this is what they had to do, because Rebecca ended up dying. The mother of Joseph ended up dying because of the sacrifice that God wanted them to make. If y'all don't remember this story where Isaac went up there to sacrifice Jacob, I do apologize, went to sacrifice Jacob. And allegedly, y'all didn't hear the real story all in the Bible, but if you go into the book of Jasher, you will hear what happened to Rebecca. Basically, the devil tricked Rebecca into believing a bunch of nonsense, and Rebecca sounded like she had a heart attack and died. So about the time they came back from the mountain, Isaac and Joseph, him and his son, because he didn't sacrifice him. Remember, God wanted him to sacrifice him. But y'all know that story. The devil enticed, had made it like a little bet. Like, I bet you I could get basically Isaac to, not worship you because you done gave him a kid and now he ain't worshiping you. Y'all got to know these stories. So it makes sense. It's a moral story. It's a genetic story. It's a lineage behind this and everything. So basically, they like, listen, I don't want my father to have a heart attack like our mom did. Like, we literally said that this boy was dead. We left, didn't come back with Benjamin. Like, this is enough. So what they did was have the one of the Hebrew sisters who played a harp to actually sing to him the tune of what happened, the whole story. And about time he listened and listened, he realized that his son wasn't dead. And then he see them all coming up with all of these cows, sheep, gold, all types of stuff. So his heart was able to handle that. Now that tells you the power of music as well in the harp, because you're going to hear them talk about the harp in the Bible a lot. The harp is the tuning of the harp does something to us energetically and magnetic. Okay, that's when it deals with our chakra balancing and things like that. Music soothes the beast. So I'm throwing that in there because I go different places with my content and what I know, but music plays a role in controlling people's emotion, as well as by them preempting, telling him, hey, in a song, this happened. It prepared him for real life. So it wasn't as shocking. Does that sound like what they do to us now on the airways, where they blow our mind with certain things that we see and then on TV, and then when it happens, it really don't shock us? These things are, how can I say, synchronized ways of controlling people. And you can find that through the Bible. This is how deep I think. Honestly, I make connections and everything. So that heart was a way to soothe him for him to get ready. So boom. Alright. They ended up like, Joseph like, bring dad down here. So the whole Hebrew tribe come down there. All the brothers, all the wives, all the kids, they all come down, and Joseph meet his father. And Joseph and Isaac is so happy because Joseph is the Pharaoh, which he knew his son was destined for greatness. No matter what it was, no matter what pit that others throw you in, God will bring you through to your glory. No matter what hurdles is there, this is part of the morality of that story as well. No matter what they did, they put him into slavery. The wife lied. She kept enticing him. He like stood strong. All of that. And he became the Pharaoh. Does that make sense? And he was able to exercise all of these skills and talents that represents us as Hebrews. Okay? Does that make sense? This is why they don't want us to see ourselves in the Bible. You have to see yourself in the Bible. You can't just look at it as a scripture, honestly. So this is what Passover is based off of, okay, if y'all really understand. This is the original Passover. So boom, they up in Egypt. They living their best life. The Hebrews got Goshen. They give the whole Goshen to the Hebrew tribe. Goshen land is flourishing. Sheep, everything the Hebrews touch, flourish. So now we 2-3 kings down the line. Joseph is dead. He's no longer Pharaoh. But Joseph is dead. Isaac is dead. And we like 2 generations down the line. So now that new king like, yo, the Hebrews are mighty. They're talented. They're strong. And if they're a lot in numbers. If they end up rebelling against us and going with our enemies, they will overcome us. They know our land. They know everything. So that new king, which was 2 generations or 3 generations down, from when Pharaoh died, Pharaoh Joseph, who did so much for Egypt, they forgot about what the Hebrews did. He said, hey, we're going to have to put them in slavery so we can take control of them. They multiplying too much, too many of them. They just mighty. You know, they put them in slavery, and that's where you get the Egyptian slavery. And that happened for over like at least 2 kingships, to my understanding. Now, where Moses come in at, that's the same king, I'm assuming, don't quote me, that same king, or the second king, basically was like, yo, these Hebrews, they keep on making babies, keep on having boys, they mighty strong, we got to get them out of here. So he made an edict, one, that every Hebrew boy that was born was to be murdered. Yes, this is the same thing that's happening now. They were supposed to be murdered. So what they would do, the Hebrew women, now this was a story, a little wild, but it's in the Bible. You got to listen. It's like, okay. What the Hebrew women would do would go into the field and have the baby boy and leave the baby boy out there. It's in the Bible. I forgot what chapter it is. Is in. But they would leave the baby boy in the field, and an angel would come to the Hebrew boy, baby boy, and give them 2 rocks. And basically, one will be for food, one will be for water. And they said that this seemed real mystical, but I'm just telling you the Bible story. Allegedly, the hair grew so much that of the Hebrew baby, that they would protect them and all types of stuff. Now, the king figured out this was going on. And allegedly, the king sent his men to where this field was at to plow it. And nothing happened to the Hebrew boys. So at this point, this was around the time that Moses was born. Now, Moses' mother, what ended up happening is that Moses' father left Moses' mother for some apparent reason. I forgot what it was. And he received the prophet like, yo, you need to go back to your wife because your wife is going to have the Messiah, the child that's going to set y'all free. Now, mind you, the king already had a dream about this. The king already knew. That's why he started putting the edict about killing Hebrew boys, because they knew that it was going to be a Hebrew Messiah that would come up and basically uncrown the king. And the king was trying to stop that by way of murdering Hebrew boys. And that's what they say Colin telling Pro is right now, but I'm going to shut up. Yeah. Now, so what ended up happening, Moses' mom, Miriam, I'm remembering these names, Moses' mom put Moses in a basket after 3 months, after hiding for 3 months, because one of the Hebrew, Egyptian women who went down into the camp to get their baby fed, heard a Hebrew baby inside of Miriam's house, and she went to basically hide him. And what she did was put him in a basket in the river, and that was the time where the Egyptian women was bathing in the river, and the Egyptian king's daughter found Moses. Okay, and that's in the Bible. Well, on some of these pieces of the story will be in the Bible for you, but the Bible is so dissected that you won't have all of these pieces because you got to read the different books, and that's what I have done. Really went in and read these different books so I could get a better understanding because it was so sectionated. It just didn't make no sense. So, boom. Now, this is how God works. That's why God say he has a plan for us no matter what is the destruction of our oppressors. So, the Egyptian woman found Moses, and mind you, Moses' sister watching him. Like, she wanted to know what's about to happen with her brother. So Moses' sister's watching him, and she see that the Egyptian lady was trying to give breast to Moses, and Moses wouldn't take no suckle from nobody. So Moses' sister went up to the Egyptian princess and was like, hey, you want me to take him to the Hebrew maidens and have them feed him? And they like, yeah, go ahead. So they took him down and took him right back to Moses' mother. So Moses was with his mother to the age of 3 years old until she had to return him back to the princess. This is the story. This is how Moses ended up inside of the palace, okay, in Egypt. So boom, I think around the age of 6 or 7, Moses was was a tyrant acting up, and he allegedly took the crown off the king's head. So the king was like, that's the ultimate sign of disrespect. Is he gonna, is he saying he's gonna dethrone my kingdom? The king had an idea, because they didn't say that they didn't know that this baby was a Hebrew. But they, like, after a while, they knew that Moses was a Hebrew. So boom, they was gonna kill Moses. But an angel came down, and this is in the Bible. This part is in the Bible, and basically played as a servant of the king and said, hey, this is what we'll do. This is what will tell you if the boy is an idiot or he's actually trying to take your crown. Let's put black onyx in front of him and a coal in front of him and see what he'll do with it. So they did that, and the angel somehow made Moses go for the coal and put the coal in his mouth. Y'all remember that story of Moses' tongue swelled up and everything, and the king was like, oh, he's a fool. He's not basically trying to take my crown. So Moses ended up growing up in the castle. Moses was strong, mighty, good fighter, everything. Very smart, very intelligent. And it was 2 incidents where he went down to the Hebrew slave quarters and saw things that he did not like. So the first one was when he saw the Egyptians beating the Hebrews so bad, and he couldn't take that. It was terrible. And then the next incident when Egyptian was beating on the Hebrew guy, and come to find out that the Egyptian was with the Hebrew guy's wife. That's not in the Bible. That's in the book of Joshua. Okay. So at that point, that is when Moses took it in his own hands and killed the Egyptian. And he buried the Egyptian. The guy went away. Whatever. Now, this is how the town ended up finding out that Moses killed the Egyptian. It was the wife. The wife got mad at the husband because the husband killed her mistress, mister, or whatever, and told people, this Hebrew woman. And they ended up finding out that Moses killed the Egyptian. And that's when Moses had to flee to Cush. Cush is Africa. Cush is the land of Ham. Shem, Ham, and Japheth was the 3 sons of Noah. Go look that up. So Ham was already in Africa. Canaan is on the top upper crust of Africa. That's known as Israel right now. But that's Canaan. Israel is right at the top of it. Okay? So that's why they say Canaan, also known as Israel, is not Africa. And that's why we're saying us as the Hebrews, we're not Africans. We had to travel into Africa, into Egypt during the famine one time. We went a few times when we traveled out of Canaan and around that area. All right, so boom. Now, where we at? I'm trying to remember. We got Moses killed the Egyptian. Moses ran to Cush. Cush is Africa. Moses became the king of Cush because Moses fit in with the Africans. So not only did Joseph fit in with the Egyptians, which was black, Moses was a king of Cush for a certain amount of time, and he fit in with them. Now, what made Cush turn on Moses, not turn, but after a while of leading them in great battles and doing so good and teaching them war and all types of stuff, because they was really kind of weak when Moses got there, because they were fighting with the king of Persia, all types of stuff. Like, it was all about territory takeover. So when he ran near, at that point, I think probably like I forgot how many years, he was up there 40 years or something, they said. The second part of his life, before he went back to Egypt, they made him marry a Cushite woman when they made him king. But Moses was so into our customs. Us as Hebrews were not supposed to marry outside of our nation. It wasn't about color, it was about nation. Wasn't supposed to marry Cush, wasn't supposed to marry Jephite. It wasn't about a color thing, it was just about a pure blood thing, because we were a different type of people. So he didn't sleep with the Cushite wife for massive years. And that made the Cushite wife upset. She was bitter. She felt the way because he wouldn't touch her. And Moses probably was good as hell. Try to tell you, just look good. Okay. So, so she basically got the people riled up, like, y'all made this guy our king, and he don't even honor our people. He won't even touch me. He won't make a baby with me. Blah, 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 yah, yah, yah. So, basically, they came to an admirable agreement, and Moses stepped down. And there was another king of Cush that was appointed. Now, during that time, it came to Moses by Yahushua that said, you got to go back and go free your people. Now, they still down there in bondage, still going through stuff. Moses was king for a while, kicked butt up there, helped Cush kick mad butt. So now, boom, he goes back. And that's where the story of Passover begins. It talks about the plague. It talks about Passover starts the night when Moses go back and start talking to the king and say, hey, let my people go. Let my people go worship, this, that, and the third. And that was the first thing. And this is what got the king mad, because at first he was like, no, you can't go worship in the bushes, da, da, da. And then he kept bothering him, Moses, and they let the Hebrews go worship to their God. And we was out there longer than we were supposed to, and the king got mad, got his troops got us, and he came down harder on the Hebrews, making their work and labor 10 times harder. Basically, their rations was lessened because they had to bring straw and make bricks or whatever. I forgot what it was, but they'll get something to make food. So Moses got them in trouble. But boom, Moses came back like, I let my people go. Like, my God saying, let them go, period. He's like, who your God? Why do I got to believe in your God? And that's what made these kings, situations like this, believe in the God of the Yahweh. Because Yahweh our God wasn't dealing with the magic they were dealing with literally sorcery, especially in Egypt, sorcery. That's why God told Moses, like, yo, take this staff and I need you to do what I tell you. Now, y'all don't know the full story that it was Moses and Aaron that lived out this prophecy, because Moses was not really good with, I believe it was like his words. Yeah, it was his words. Moses wasn't a great speaker at all. Moses like, I ain't qualified for this. I can't even speak. I can't, I'm like, shit. God like, yes, you are. Take your brother Aaron. He gonna tell you what to say. You got to take that staff and handle your business. So y'all, this is where Aaron been fitting into the picture that y'all never really knew. Because when Moses died, it was passed to Aaron. So boom. I know this is good Bible story when you keep saying boom. Okay, so now Moses come back with the staff, like the God of the Hebrews saying, let my people go. The king like, ha ha ha, get out of here, you're stupid, you can't do anything. What your king of the Hebrews could do? So Moses, God told him to throw the staff down. He threw the staff down. It went into a snake. King like, ha ha ha, my people could do that, my magicians could do that. If you look up Egypt was really a lot of sorcery, a lot of sex magic. The real Egypt. That's why they say America is the second Egypt, because they're worshiping the same stuff. But that's for another broadcast. So now the magicians throw his snake down. They like, aha, look what our God could do. Moses' staff that turned into a snake actually ate the magician's snake. And everybody was like, whoa, what the hell? Like, oh, nah, because magic is supposed to be built on metaphysics. It's supposed to be based on alchemy. It's not, an inanimate object can't eat another inanimate object in the spiritual world. That's not real. Like, even the demons know that. Even the magicians know that. So, they saw a little power there, and the king like, nah. I'm still not letting your people go. And that's when the plague started. So you had the plague, and I don't know them all in order, but 10 plagues. You had the flies, the water turning red, the frogs. I'm trying to remember them all, but I know the last one was the ultimate, because he kept coming to him, telling him like, yo, let my people go, let my people go. He actually turned the water red right in front of the king, or blood. And then you remember all the frogs. That was part of the plague. The last plague was the death of the oldest son. So that was the last night of Passover, where if you know about Passover and its rituals at that time, God told us to basically take the lamb, get it prepared. We're about to get on the road. I need you to kill it on the 10th day of April. Get it prepared to eat it on the 14th day. Literally have your staff in hand. Put the blood of the lamb on the post, because when the angel of death comes to take the sons, the first sons of the Egyptians, everybody gonna get it. So when that happened, and the first sons of the Egyptians and the Egyptian king son was killed, and he woke up and he was dead. I do apologize. I want to make sure I'm on the right highway. Excuse me. He was killed. That was too much for the king. He was like, oh shit, like for real, we gotta let these people go. So he let them go. They started on their way. Gave him mad jury, everything. Like he was like, just go, just get out of here. Blah, blah. But allegedly, God hardened the king's heart, and the king got mad. The king like, about to go get him, and that's where you get the splitting of the river, the ocean. That's where you get where basically when they were walking and they were trying to get to the motherland, which was supposed to be Canaan, the promised land. The king and all his soldiers came after the Hebrews, and that is when he told Moses to put the staff down and split the sea. And that's when our ancestors walked through it, and as the last person walked through it, once he lifted up the staff, not allegedly, but literally swallowed up the Pharaoh and his king. Now, there is some stories of when you watch Discovery Channel, things like that. I watch all the documentaries where they found chariots out there in the Dead Sea, where they found remnants of chariots, of like horses, chariots. You see what I'm saying? They also, it was like a point that Egypt went through like a great disdain that was missing in the history of Egypt, and they believe that was when that happened. All right, so here we go. Now we out, Moses leading us. This is what Passover is supposed to represent, us being free from Egypt, and God releasing the plague. So when you go learn about Passover and you learn about unleavened bread, about the lamb, the blood of the lamb putting on the door, that's why we have 5 days to get prepared. And he was like, let's go. And that's what we did. So in these days of remembrance, we're supposed to remember our great release at that time. Also, we're not supposed to have bread with yeast in it. Any type of yeast product is not supposed to be unleavened bread that don't rise. We're supposed to eat that and more bitters. Bitters is like spinach, kale, the diet, that type of diet. But that's what we're supposed to do, and we're supposed to refrain from something, a fast, some type of fast. This is what I have learned. Now, you don't have to do a full fast of food, but I think refrain from Babylon, refrain from certain things. That's why I won't be on this internet from the 15th to the 20th, because I'm going to give it all to God, and that's what we're supposed to do. So that is the first real true portion of how Passover came about. Now, part 2. I'm almost home, so we got like some time, y'all. Girl, thank you for keeping me company. I like telling Bible stories, y'all. I do. The full story. That's our ancestors. I'm so excited. I just get excited. Now, this is the second part of Passover, where our Messiah, Yahushua, Jesus Christ, was laid to rest. He was crucified. Now, this is the spiritual part of it, too. That was a spiritual part. I kind of brought out some, majestic parts. But this is a spiritual part of Jesus' crucifixion that now I understand much deeper, okay? Now, boom. You know, at that time, we were already cast out into Babylon when Jesus came. It was already in Malachi. He gave us warning that is just before the New Testament, and Galatians, where we kept getting these warning that we're going to be shipped out to Babylon. Babylon is going to put it on ships. Like, shit was just worse. Deuteronomy was our warning, but Malachi and all the rest of the books kept reiterating, you're about to go down. You are living like heathens, and we were doing some bad stuff in the Old Testament. I mean, like kings, sons sleeping with concubines on roofs. Not a joke. That is our bloodline. That Christians don't even go into the Old Testament. I went into the Old Testament. I said, this is wild. Like, they wilding. Well, God say go kill everybody. What is going on here? Like, it's deep. So now you have, by this time again, you got to understand that it is more spiritual things going on than what you may think. This goes all the way back into the book of Enoch. And the book of Enoch talks about the fallen angels, talks about the fallen angels and the giants and the flood. Now, from what I've learned by studying, reading a lot, learning about different things, I even went into the occult and learned about the occult. I even went into like learning about body snatchers, soul snatchers, demonic possession. Like, that's why I couldn't really get into no type of religious thing, because they would shut you out from looking into these things, and they would say you're a tyrant. But I have been able to put all of this stuff together. So by the time Jesus was on the earth, we were under spiritual warfare bad, because when the giants came down and was into men, they made the Nephilim. That is in the Bible. They were flooded. God flooded this earth. That is in the Bible. Now, from what I've learned is that because these fallen angels was allegedly still have some type of molecular, or how can I say, vibrational connection to us, they were able to procreate with women. This is in the Bible. They have found bones. They have found pictures of giants. So this ain't no joke, and that's out of the religious thing. Go look like Discovery Channel, all that stuff. You got to put it together, the geographical area and everything. So what I have learned is allegedly, now I'm saying allegedly, because I'm putting a lot of these things together, is that when these Nephilim were drowned, and this was before the Messiah, Jesus Christ, known his real name Yahushua, because it wasn't a J back then, but we go with Jesus Christ because that name kicked butt. The Nephilim were able to embody a spirit. Once they mixed, the angels and humans mixed, they were able to embody a spirit. So when they drowned, this is when the marine spirit, the marine kingdom came about. Whoa. Y'all like, whoa, where did that come from? Yes, and that's why with me learning about voodoo, the marine kingdom, and all this stuff, like, where the heck did this come from? How could it just be spirits and talk about the marine and the ocean? It's because of these Nephilim. They became disembodied spirits on a different spiritual vibration because it mixed with men. There were disembodied spirits in Genesis, which they called the Elohim. And those Elohim was the council. The Elohim means disembodied spirit. Elohim is not Yahushua. Is not the creator. But the creator can be considered an Elohim because that is a disembodied spirit. Okay? Listen. So, now you got a different type of spirit here that has a connection to the human beings that were already set to be at war with Lucifer. Whoa. How did that happen? Because when Lucifer fell, he literally was mad at God creating human beings in his likeness. Lucifer was mad because Lucifer was supposed to be God's right-hand man. And he's supposed to know all good and have access to all everything. Now, this is me learning about the occult and the Luciferian thing. I had to really, baby, yeah, they got their own Bible, all types of stuff. And you got to listen from these different perspectives. So, when he came down into the daughters of man, because he wanted to know the dark side and also the hate that he had from human beings, now Now he has a spiritual connection to us through the daughter of man, which made the Nephilim. Does that make sense? And the Nephilim was drowned. So now you have these disembodied spirits who have some sort of soul contract with human beings, and it gets deeper. So when now you're talking about Jesus time, because I'm kind of jumping from Enoch all the way to Jesus time, but it's more in between that talks about these demons and things like that, and Baal worshiping and invoking spirits. This is all part of it. So when Jesus, there are a lot of stories that's missing about Yahushua, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I got to go in between because I have Christians here and I have Hebrews, and y'all be arguing over the name, and both of them names were baby. Okay, so what ended up happening now, you got the disembodied spirits, they are possessing man. You hear the stories of Jesus, Yahushua, casting out spirits. In the Old Testament, you don't hear none of our messiahs casting out spirits. You don't hear Joseph, you don't hear Moses, you do hear Solomon, King Solomon, and that's a whole nother story, where he had control over all of the demons, and that was who he had made his palace, made his kingdom. You remember, build his castle. Go look into Solomon, King Solomon. He got deep into the spiritual thing.